I caught my spoiled sister making out with my BF a week before her wedding. I couldn't take it and called her fiancé. I thought he had ignored it, but he made a huge announcement on the wedding day. All right, y'all, buckle up because this story is a wild ride. So, my name's Tiana, and I've got a sister named Selena. Now, Selena's always been the spoiled one in the family. You know the type, always gets what she wants, never has to lift a finger, and somehow everything just falls into place for her. Anyway, she's getting married in a week to this amazing guy named Jared. He's sweet, successful, and way too good for her. But hey, love is blind, right? So, a week before the wedding, I'm heading over to our family's vacation house to pick up a few things. Selena and Jared are supposed to be there, making last-minute wedding plans or whatever. I walk in, and the place is eerily quiet. I call out, but no one answers. Figuring they're out for a walk or something, I head upstairs to grab what I need, and that's when I hear it. Muffled giggles and hushed voices coming from Selena's room. Thinking they're just being all lovey-dovey, I push the door open without knocking. But what I see makes my stomach churn. There, on Selena's bed, is my boyfriend, Max, making out with my sister. I mean, full-on, clothes off, no-shame makeout session. I freeze. For a second, I can't breathe, can't move, can't think. Then the rage hits me like a freight train. I slam the door so hard, the house shakes and scream, "What the actual fuck, Selena? Max, you piece of shit." They both jump, eyes wide with shock and guilt. Selena scrambles to cover herself while Max stutters, trying to come up with some lame excuse, but I'm not having any of it. I storm out of there, tears streaming down my face, and drive home in a blind rage. The whole drive home, my phone's blowing up with the texts and calls from both of them. Max is begging for forgiveness, saying it was a mistake. He was drunk, blah, blah, blah. Selena's messages are a mix of apologies and blaming me for walking in on them. Like, seriously? How the hell is this my fault? When I get home, I throw my phone on the couch and scream into a pillow. After a few hours of crying and cursing them both, I calm down just enough to think rationally. There's no way I can keep this to myself. Jared needs to know. He deserves to know the kind of person he's about to marry. I pick up my phone and call Jared. My hands are shaking, and I feel like I'm about to puke. But I do it. He answers on the second ring, cheerful and unsuspecting. "Hey, Tiana, what's up?" I take a deep breath and spill everything. I tell him what I saw, how Max and Selena were all over each other. There's silence on the other end for what feels like forever. Then, Jared thanks me in this eerily calm voice and hangs up. I sit there, staring at my phone, wondering if I did the right thing. The next few days are a blur. I break up with Max, obviously. He tries to win me back, but I'm done. Selena, on the other hand, goes into full meltdown mode. She calls me, screaming and crying, accusing me of ruining her life. I hang up on her. I'm not her scapegoat. The family finds out, and it's chaos. My parents are furious with Selena, but also worried about the wedding. They try to talk Jared out of canceling, but he's gone radio silent. No one's heard from him since I made that call. The day before the wedding, I'm a nervous wreck. I keep replaying everything in my head, wondering if I should have handled it differently. But deep down, I know I did the right thing. Jared deserves to know the truth. The wedding day arrives, and I'm dreading it. I've decided to go because, well, I need to see how this all plays out. I dress up, put on a brave face, and head to the venue. The place is gorgeous, decorated to the nines, and filled with people. But the atmosphere is tense. Everyone's whispering, casting curious glances at me. Selena is a mess. Her makeup's smudged from crying, and she looks like she's about to have a breakdown. My parents are hovering around her, trying to keep her calm. I spot Jared, looking surprisingly composed, chatting with some guests. The ceremony starts, and everyone takes their seats. Selena walks down the aisle, trying to hold it together. Jared's standing at the altar, expression readable. They go through the motions, saying their vows, and then it happens. When the officiant asks if anyone objects, Jared steps forward. He takes the mic and looks straight at Selena. "I have something to say." The room goes dead silent. He takes a deep breath and says, "I can't do this. Selena, I know what you did with Max. Tiana told me everything, and I'm not going to marry someone who can betray me like that." Selena's face turns white as a sheet. There are gasps and murmurs from the guests. Jared hands the mic back and walks out, leaving everyone in stunned silence. The wedding was called off, and let me tell you, shit hit the fan in a major way. The fallout from that day was like a bomb going off in our family and social circles. Selena's reputation took a nosedive faster than I could have imagined. Suddenly, the golden girl of the family was the scandalous talk of the town. All right. The very next day, the phone started ringing off the hook. Relatives, friends, even distant acquaintances wanted the juicy details. My parents were devastated. They had put so much into this wedding, emotionally and financially, and now it was all for nothing. They couldn't believe Selena had fucked up this badly. Selena, for her part, went into hiding. She locked herself in her room, refusing to come out for days. When she finally emerged, she looked like a wreck. Puffy eyes, messy hair, the whole 9 yards. I could tell she was furious at me, but I didn't care. She needed to face the consequences of her actions. One night, a few days after the canceled wedding, she stormed into my room. Her face was a mix of anger and desperation. "How could you do this to me, Tiana?" she shouted. "You ruined everything." I stared at her, disbelief mixing with my own anger. "I ruined everything? Are you serious? You were the one making out with my boyfriend. You are the one who ruined everything, Selena. You betrayed Jared, and you betrayed me." She broke down, collapsing onto my bed in a fit of sobs. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her, but then I remembered the hurt, the betrayal, and my resolve hardened. "You need to own up to what you did," I said quietly. "Stop blaming everyone else for your mistakes." My parents were caught in the middle. They were angry with Selena, but also worried about her. They tried to keep the peace, but it was like trying to hold back a tidal wave with a bucket. Family dinners became awkward, tension-filled affairs. Conversations were stilted, and everyone avoided talking about the wedding. It was like the giant elephant in the room that no one wanted to acknowledge. Meanwhile, I had my own shit to deal with. Breaking up with Max was tough. I had loved him, or at least I thought I had, but his betrayal cut deep. He bombarded me with calls and messages, begging for another chance, swearing he'd change. It was pathetic, really. One night, he even showed up at my apartment, drunk and crying, pleading with me to take him back. I slammed the door in his face. Then there was the town gossip. Small towns have long memories and sharp tongues. Everywhere I went, I could feel eyes on me, hear the whispers. It was suffocating. I threw myself into work, trying to distract myself, but it wasn't easy. Every reminder of what happened brought a fresh wave of pain and anger. Jared, on the other hand, took a different approach. After his dramatic exit at the wedding, he went off the grid for a while. No one heard from him, not even his closest friends. Then, out of the blue, he called me. He wanted to thank me again for telling him the truth. We met up for coffee, and it was a bittersweet reunion. "I'm moving out of town," he said, stirring his coffee absent-mindedly. "I need a fresh start, away from all this drama." I nodded, understanding completely. "I'm really sorry about everything, Jared. You didn't deserve any of this." He smiled sadly. "Neither did you, Tiana. But life goes on. We've got to pick up the pieces and move forward." We talked for a while longer, reminiscing about better times, and then he left. It was the last time I saw him. I heard later that he moved to a different state, started a new job, and was doing well. It made me happy to know he was moving on. As for Selena, our relationship never really recovered. We still see each other at family events, but it's strained and awkward. She's never truly forgiven me for blowing up her life, and I've never forgiven her for the betrayal. It's a cold, uneasy truce. Sometimes I wonder if we'll ever mend that rift, but honestly, I don't know if I care enough to try. Life moved on, as it always does. I focused on my career, built new relationships, and slowly, the pain faded. But the lessons I learned from that whole mess stayed with me. I learned the hard way that trust is fragile, and that betrayal cuts deeper than any physical wound. Looking back, I don't regret what I did. Jared deserved to know the truth, and Selena needed to face the consequences of her actions. It was a brutal, painful experience, but it made me stronger. It taught me to value honesty and to never settle for less than I deserve. So, there you have it. That's my story. It's messy, it's painful, but it's real. Life doesn't always give you happy endings, but it does give you the chance to learn and grow. And sometimes, that's enough. Thanks for sticking with me through this roller coaster. Here's to hoping the future is a little less dramatic and a lot more peaceful. Cheers.